Welcome back. This is Tor Storley, and in this segment I would like to take a look at how you can visualize geospatial data in a nice, colorful environment and do some manipulations on the data and get some better insights of the data, particularly for large amounts of data. So in order to do that, I have this visualization framework. It's called Vis.GL, and it's created by the folks at Uber, and it has a collection of visualization tools you can use. So if you type in Vis.GL, this will take you to this page. This Vis.GL, it has several parts. There's something called Kepler, which is the one I'm going to be focusing on today, so I'm not going to tell you too much yet. I will go through some stuff that Kepler can do. Then you have the Vis.GL. It's a high-performance GPU powered visualization layer for geospatial data. And this Kepler and this Vis.GL, this, by the way, is more for developers, where you can develop your own applications. This is more a canned kind of approach to it, where you can analyze your data but without writing any code. There's also Python bindings. You can see PyDeck here. There are another library that is for data loading of various forms. And then the underlying WebGL engine, if you will, the toolkit, is this Luma.GL. That is powering up this Vis.GL and Kepler.GL and so forth. And then there's also some React map bindings you can use. So these are a group of libraries that are collected under this framework called Vis.GL. So if you look at the Luma.GL, for example, you can see that this is the core of the 3D rendering technology behind Uber's suite of data visualization tools. And it covers Vis.GL, Kepler.GL, and something called AVS Auto. So if you want more details on everything here, make sure you go to this website and start looking there. Here is Vis.GL, and it has getting started, it has developer guides, API references with examples. A lot of these has examples and showcases you can go and look at. So you can see here, there's all kinds of stuff you can do with these libraries. And typically they're used for large scale data because that's kind of what Uber is dealing with, tracking all their movements. So this is basically the place to go to learn more about this. So I'm going to focus on this Kepler today, which is the easiest way to get started on this. And you can just go to Kepler.GL and you can start reading up about different things here, show some demos, etc. So what I'm going to do then is I'm simply going to click on this website, and it takes you to this Kepler.GL, and you click Get Started. And when you do that, you're going to see this screen. And this is the starting point for us to explore some data with Kepler. And then it tells you to add some data to this map. And they will translate CSV files, JSON files, and Geojson files. What I have done is I have collected some files, and you can see them here. These are the different type of files that I'm going to be going through. So in this first part, I'm going to take this targets CSV file that I downloaded, and we can look a little closer at it. So this targets CSV, I'm going to drag and just drop it in here. And then it goes ahead and read it. And it shows up on a map right there. So if you look at this map now, it's kind of interesting. It has all kinds of colors. There's a section over here that says Kepler.GL. There's some different buttons there you can click on. And there's some stuff on the top here. So yeah, you can share, you can go to cloud storage, and so forth. So what I done is I loaded this file, as you can see here, and it shows up on a map like this. And you can zoom in, you can zoom out, you can move stuff around. And you can also see down here that it's based on something called Mapbox. So the base map for these applications is by Mapbox. If you look at this map right now, it has different colors. So what we can do is we can go to these layers first, and here is this target CSV, and we can click on this drop box. So as you can see, it's displaying points, and it has selected something called address latitude, address longitude. So it's smart enough to figure that out for you. It also used some colors that it set up here. If you look a little closer, it looks like it's basing the color on some kind of time zone offset. So what we can do, we can change some of these settings. So for example, we can change colors. By the way, clicking it back and forth there, you turn it on or off. So as you can see, the fill color is based on this pre-selected one. But what we can do, you can say, maybe I only want 4 time zones, and therefore show color per time zone from the US here. So if I do that, I choose 4, and I can choose maybe a different one, so I'll choose this one. And now you can see the colors in the back here changed. That's one thing I can do. I can also set the radius here, and as you can see, the points get bigger or smaller depending how you set it. So I'm going to just set it back to where the default was at 10 here. Another thing we can do, you can set a label if you want to, but if you have a lot of data points, that might not be a good idea. We can also filter, and we can also interact. So if I click interaction here, you can see there's a tooltip, so you can shut off the tooltip, so when you hover over the map, you don't have a tooltip. Or you can activate, so when you hover over the map, you get a tooltip. So what I want to do is I want to clear all of these, and I want to set some different tooltips. So what I'm going to choose, I can click here, and then you can choose from these available fields. So I'm going to say county, maybe first. I'm going to say city. So now I've chosen what I want to show in that tooltip. So as I hover over here now, you can see you're getting a tooltip. So this particular store is in Jefferson County in Wheat Ridge, and you can see the time zone code here is Mountain Time. Over here you can see it's Pacific Time, and here in the Midwest this is Central Standard Time, and here is Eastern Time, so New York, etc. So as you can see, this is a pretty basic map, and you can drill in, you can search. I might want to try a filter. So if I add a filter and I click here, perhaps I want to see city. So I can search for around me. So I'm going to choose this location. Let me select it first. So I selected it, and I see a little red dot showing up over here. That's the only one I see on the map. So if I zoom in here now, I get closer. And now it starts looking like it's moving close enough in. It sits around this Grand Avenue. I can go here to this base map here. And if I don't want it dark like this, I can switch over to satellite maybe. So now I can actually see the satellite image of where that is located. And another thing I can do, as I zoom in here, over here, you can have a dual map view. So when you click that, it basically splits your screen. So you can see it twice here. I don't know whether that's a good idea or not right now. I can also go and show legend, and I can show 3D map. If I look at this map here and I zoom in, this is where that location is at. And I know that that is the right place because that building is the target store. And I can also move around. So when I get close enough here and I zoom in, even though you can't really see the store because of the way Mapbox is projecting this, you can see here's a target. So you know this is the target store. I noticed that this time zone offset here is set. So if I don't want to base the color on that, what I probably want to do is the field I want to use, I want it to be the maybe code. That will be okay. So it appears that we have more than 4 codes here. It looks like there's some other ones here, maybe because they might be outside the continental US. So let's put back the dark map again, and let's zoom out, and let's remove the filter. Now we should be back where we started from. So now you can see all the locations here again. Yeah, it appears that there's some over here and way out there. Maybe that's a Hawaii. Okay, so yeah, you can see this is in Hilo, Hawaii. There's some stores there too. Yeah, so that's how you can start a basic map in this Kepler. So I just want to take a minute and show you now, since we're using Kepler to display these Geojson files, I just want to finalize the Salesforce file we created from AdventureWorks. So let me drag a Geojson file that I created from SQL Server for AdventureWorks Salesforce. And this is what it looks like when you drag it in here. So what we can do is we can make some changes to this, obviously. One thing we might want to do is to, by the way, if you want to see the data, you can just click here, show data table. If you look, it's pretty much a territory name here, which make it unique. And I have a store procedure I'm using to create this that I will discuss in a different video. Now, if you look here, I have basically rolled up all this into one row per territory. So this is what it looks like. I want to point out these last 4 columns. If you look at it, there's a sales year to date and a sales last year. These are text representations. And if you look here, I'm decorating with a $sign in front of it, and it's comma separated, and there's no decimals. And over here, you can see it's the same number, but it is numeric. It's a floating number. And that's done for a reason, and I'll show you that in a second here. So let's close this. And what I want to do is I want to put some maybe colors on here, and I want to base it on the field, which is a numeric field. And that's one of the reasons I did this. I'm going to base it on the sales year to date. And as you can see, that's a float number. And I want to base it on maybe 9 here. And let me choose a color that is, yeah, maybe this one. So now you got a color of 9 steps, if you will. And it's based on the sales year to date. Okay, so now we got that. Another thing we can do is we can maybe put a height on this. So I'll have to activate that. I'm going to make it maybe, okay, maybe 20. So I'll put that on. And now you can see it extrudes a little bit from the map here. Another thing I can do is to maybe put a better tooltip. So let me go to interactions and let's clear all this and let's add some fields. I want to see the territory name. I want to see the, and this is where I use the other field again. I want to see the formatted sales number, not the floating number that you saw from sales year to date on these two. I want to choose these two for tooltips. So I'm going to choose this and I'm going to choose this. So now I got 3 values in here. So now what we can also do over here, we can put it into 3D. You can rotate it by using the control and arrow keys. Another thing I can do, I can change the dark surface here maybe to a lighter surface of the map. So when I do that, it starts looking like this. So if I drill in now, I can get closer. And when I look at this map, you can see that the tooltip sales year to date and sales last year is formatted nicely. So it reads better on the tooltip. There's Canada. And you can see the more they extrude, the more sales year to date they have. So you can see here it's 6,709,904 for the Southwest. I can also filter this map. Maybe I don't want to see everything. Maybe I just want to see the US. So I can filter by this country region name maybe. So I'm going to enter a value here. I'm going to choose United States. So now it's updating the map in the background here. And as you can see now, it removed Australia and the countries from Europe from this map rendering. So I might want to get a little higher up here so I can see a little better. Maybe I'll zoom in a little bit. And now you can see all the different territory names like the Northwest, here's the Northeast, and you can see higher they stick up from the map surface, the more sales year to date they have. So that's how you can render this AdventureWorks Salesforce that we created onto a Kepler map. Another example, I wanted to show you the powerful rendering that these libraries have. I have this file I downloaded from Kaggle, which is World Cities. So I'm going to drag that in and drop it. Now, this is a very large file. I think it has, I don't know, over 3 million records in here. So if you were going to create push pins or something to try to put that on a map, that will be blowing your computer up, probably. But if you look here now, you can see all these colors this represents over three, you can see it up here under this layer. It says 3,173,958 rows of data here. So that is a lot. And when you move it around, you can see it doesn't react too quickly, but that's because there's so much data in here. But even though you have all this, you can also get tooltips for each one of these points. So it's quite impressive that you can even render all this data, and it's responding like this. So yeah, I'm not going to dwell on this one because there's just too much data, but I just wanted to show you the capacity here, all that you can actually put on a map and render it. So that's quite fantastic, I think. I have some county files I created, and I added some data from the Census Bureau, and I created some Geojson files out of them. So I'm going to drag one of these files over here. This is for the state of Illinois, and it's counties in Illinois. So if you look here now, it loads up, and you can see there's tooltips and stuff like that right away. So it added that layer, and we can start manipulate some of these counties. We can change the fill color. Maybe I want to base it on a certain field. So if I choose a field here, now like I said, the data I have here, I added some statistics that came from the Census Bureau into this file in addition to the actual geospatial polygon shapes. And as you can see here, there's high school diploma only, less than high school diploma, bachelor degree or higher. So there's some educational information about these counties, how many there are. And there's also a PCT, meaning I'm doing the percentages of those. There are some births and deaths and death rates and all that kind of stuff. So I thought you can see people in poverty. I'm going to base the color on percentage of people in poverty. So as you can see now, it covers it with some kind of color bar here. And of course you can set the size of these. So maybe I want to go to 9, something like that. Let's leave, no, that color is a little much. Maybe something like this. So now you got these colors here, right? You can switch to whatever you want it to be. What I want to do is I base the color on that field, the percentage of people in poverty. But I can also get like a 3D rendering here. As you can see by clicking this button up here. You can hold the control key and hit the arrows to move the map around. You can zoom in by scrolling your mouse. But it's pretty flat. But another thing we can do is to activate the height here. And if I do, I can also choose a field that I want to activate the height on. So if the color is based on percentage people in poverty, maybe I want the height to be based on that as well. I'm going to choose the percentage people in poverty. Let's make it a lot more pronounced here. So I'm going to say, let's lift it up from the map surface by maybe a factor of 20, right? So let's see what that will look like. So now you can see it's up from the map here, so you're getting more 3D. So let's go as much as 30 here. So now I got 30. As I scroll around now, you can see the height of these is depending on how much these counties' poverty percentages. So here, for example, there's actually people in poverty is, oh, I'm sorry. That's because it's the tooltip. So let's go and fix that. We'll go to interaction, and I don't want the people in poverty, so I'm going to remove that part. Let's just get rid of some of this stuff so we can keep it simple, like that. So when you hover now, you're only getting 3. So I don't really need the state. There's only Illinois here anyway, so let's get rid of that. So as you can see now, when we hover over the darker red, the more extruded parts, you can see as a higher percentage in people in poverty. So 19.9% here. Here we go up to 25%, so you can see that's pretty tall. Go down here, you see it's 4.2% and so on. So you get an idea of which county has more people in poverty and what percentage it is by looking at this. So what I can also do is, I got Illinois here. I might be interested in looking at one more state, so I'm going to add data. So I'll go and get another file that I have available. And this one is for the state of California. So now I loaded the state of California here as another layer. I'm going to do something similar. we'll go in. We will choose the color. But this time we might want to choose something else, so it doesn't have to be exactly the same. So maybe I want to see maybe percentage adults less than a high school diploma. So we'll put that on the map. Let's change the number to be maybe 9 here too. Let's choose a different color for this one. Maybe this. Let's make the height, let's turn that on. Make the height 30 here too. And let's base it on the field, this one. Okay, so we got that, and you can see it sticks up here. And let's go and fix the tooltip for this one. So let's set the tooltip for the California one. Let's clear those. I mixed two up. So let's set it for county, and let's set it for this one for percentage adult less than a high school diploma. So that's going to be the tooltip for California. Okay, so let's take a look at this now. Let's minimize this. And when I hover over here now, California, you can see the darker blue is a higher percentage. So here's 28%, 29% in Tulare County, I guess you pronounce it. Monterey County is 28%. And then you have some of these other counties that are much less, 6-7%. So now we can compare the two. So over here we got Illinois, and it uses percentage people in poverty as the height, as you can see here. And then for California, percent adults less than a high school diploma. So you can see here, you can still compare the two states. And of course we can look and rotate them around so we can kind of see them together like this. And yeah, so that's how you can use GeoJSON data. The final example I want to show you is probably the most involved one. And I have this file called Global Terrorism DB JSON that I downloaded from the internet. And I'll try to set a link reference to these so you can get them yourself. So here I opened that file, and as you can see, it puts it right on a map here. If you click on this, you can see the data. So it has data from 1970 and so forth, and it goes up 2017, I believe it is. There's a lot of different fields. The city, there's region, country, there's of course long and lat, and there's some summary of what the event was for this terrorism attack, and whether it succeeded, and if there were some suicides involved, and so forth. There's all kinds of information here. It's like a database that they've been collecting. Then there's number of killed and number of wounded. There is also whether it was guns used or number of perpetrators, and whether there was a motive listed, and so forth. So this file is containing a lot of different kind of data surrounding terrorism. We can go into this area here. You can see the latitude, longitude has been placed there automatically. It also has a fill color assigned to it. We can go into this radius area. I can select that, click on it, and here is a field I want to use. So the number of kills here, I can drag the radius so it enhances the size of it a little bigger like this. So now we got these points. Here you can see the tooltip showing up, but it doesn't really have the final tooltip that I want to use. So we're going to fix that in a second here. So one thing we can do, also we can go in here and we can add a filter. Maybe we're interested in looking at years. So when I filter it now, notice that it's all turned yellow here. And why is that? Well, if I go back here and I see the fill color, it says it's based on year. So because I'm filtering by 1 year, all of this is now turned yellow. The other colors were representing tags that was on different years. So now we got this here. So what I can do now is I can go and do some interaction. I can clear tooltips. So I'm going to select some fields here. I'm going to select the year, the month, the day. I'm going to select the country. So now we got our own tooltip here. So if we look at this map now from 2011, you can see these are the places in the world there were some attacks. So if I zoom in a little bit here, you can see this big circle, no surprise, is in the New York area. And 9/11, that's when they attacked the World Trade Centers. So if you see here now, in 2001, 9/11, there was number killed was 1,383, and there was 8,191 wounded. It was a suicide mission, obviously. The plane crashes into that World Trade Center. And has also, in the summary, you can read up on some of the information related to those attacks. And of course, it was not just in New York. It was also in some other surrounding places like Washington, D.C. They attacked the Pentagon building. And also, one of the plane didn't succeed, and they were taken down over Pennsylvania. So you can go in here and start analyzing these kind of things, and you can remove the filter maybe, and then you're getting all these other colors back, and you can hover over, start looking at, the different sizes here will indicate more kills. So yeah, you can play around with this and get some more insight into and filter and change color, whatever, so you can analyze this on this Kepler map. We got the point layer here, and what I did was I went into the radius here and I removed the field. So I'll set the radius back to just 10 here now, so it's even for all these. It's not based on any field. So what we can do, in addition to only having one visual like we did for the number of kills and make the radius bigger for the points, so let's add a couple of layers. So I'm adding 2 layers. So I'm going to call this hex, and I'm going to call this heat. So let's collapse them all here. For the hex layer, I'm going to select the type. I'm going to use hex bin. I'm going to choose, and I can search lat for latitude, lon for longitude. So now I got those fields selected, and it's updating in the background here. Okay, so it updated that. And then what we can do, we can set we can leave this color, that's fine. We'll leave that color there. We'll leave the radius at 10. So we're going to set the height based on a field. So I'm going to choose and search for number of kills. So I'll select that. And I'm going to set the multiplier to be pretty high. And let's choose 70. That's the hex. We'll choose the heat, and we'll choose a heat map. We gotta again select the lat long, so latitude, longitude, and then I need to set up a radius for this one as well, and we can set it to pretty high. I'm going to set up to 80, and what I want to do as far as weight goes, I want to base it on that same field, number of kill, so we'll choose that, and now you can see our map starts showing up here. Okay, so let's minimize this, and let's go and zoom in a little bit here, a little far away it looks like. So we'll go to some of these places in the world here. However, there's one thing we probably should also try. We should add a filter so we don't have all these points from 1970 and on. So let's choose the year, and so I'm choosing a year. Now it's freezing up on me. Okay, so I'm going to set it from 2016 to 2017. That's the range I want to set. So hopefully in the background here will update. Okay, so now it's got filter on. We can zoom in a little bit. So let's zoom in. And let's put it in 3D so we can get the bins to show up better. So right now you can see you start seeing some stuff showing up. I don't like the color, so let's look at the heat map. I'm going to choose a different color here. I'm going to choose this guy. Actually, I'm going to choose this guy. And then for the hex, let's choose a different color as well. Oh, let's just choose this one. And then let's reverse it. Okay, so now we got it reversed. Okay, so now when we look at the map here, you can see the bins, and you can see when I hover over the bin, it has its own little tooltip. If I want to see the actual tooltip, I got to point it over where the actual points are. So you can see it here, and you can see around this area it's been kind of busy. All these attacks, you can see Syria, that makes sense. Over here we got Iraq. So yeah, that makes sense too. So you get the idea. You can see with the heat map now. So when I cross the Atlantic here, and I go maybe down in Tampa, Florida, there was some incident here. So anyways, I'll just leave that up to you. So you can see now we got hex layers, and we got the heat map. And of course, what you can do as well, if you don't want to see it all, I can shut off, for example, the hex. Now that goes away. Turn it on and off. I can turn on and off the heat. So this is how you can make a multi-layer map.